loud. Okay, great. Yeah, we're recording precisely. If anybody cannot attend, they'll be able to, view what we discussed. For peer mentoring discussions, really there isn't that much introduction or workshops or prompts. Sometimes we do, but for workshops, we'll always be recording in case you can make it. But just remember that, it never is the same if you don't participate live. You won't be able to take advantage of the discussion. You won't be able to take advantage of the interaction. So, okay, just want to remind you that in your shared folder, you have several tools to help with your peer mentoring relationship, and in fact, any mentoring relationship. I put there my coaching slides from the YCA in-person meeting. I also put some other resources with respect to active listening and the GROW model. But in essence, our rules of the game is to be supportive, to be honest, and to be there for each other. So having a productive interaction means being constructive and specific in terms of your feedback, asking clarifying questions if there's something that's in doubt or not quite clear so that you can really be of help. Explaining your feedback, maybe using examples and illustrations so that you don't leave it in the abstract, but you actually help the person visualize what your advice is, and being supportive and honest. And then in terms of receiving feedback, it's, sometimes we're putting ourselves out there and it can be sensitive, but try avoid getting defensive or taking something too personal. Ask for feedback on specific points rather than just like throw the universe out at your partner. Important, if listen and take notes so that you have something to go on after the interaction. And then take a moment after the session just to reflect on the feedback and make a plan for yourself. And then one thing I would add to this list is, send a little grace and thank your peer mentor at the end. You might want to send them a little note. Maybe that's also an opportunity for accountability. Like, we talked about this. I really thought your advice was, spot on. And I'm gonna, be working through some of the things we talked about. So your peer mentoring matches are also in the shared folder we sent you. But Carolina is currently right now setting up the breakout rooms with each of you. Caro, if you have any questions about the pairs, I think we have a few people that let us know that they weren't going to be here. Let me know. So, oops, I just moved this around. So, all right, so we're going to get started. So this peer mentoring discussion is to reflect on the workshop that Carmine and Fatima gave to you guys on strategies to be a more proactive participant of mentoring relationships and really get out of them what you're needing at this moment. And so for our first discussion, I want you guys to think back or pull out this exercise that you guys did and discussed with Fatu and Kerman. So it's the mentor mapping pre-work. And basically this exercise helps you think about what are the mentoring roles and insights, advice, wisdom that you most need right now. And also I've sent these slides via email. So if you want to refer back to this slide while you're in the breakout room or the prompts that are in the next slide, feel free to open up that file from your email. Okay, so with this in hand, what we would like you to do is to think about what is it that you need right now from your mentor or advisor. Where, you're free to define mentor however you see fit, but being that most of you are doing research under the advice of a thesis advisor, that might be a good person to focus this exercise on. And what is it, and how can you get it? What is it that you need from them, and think about how you can get it. And so you might want to identify exactly what you need from your advisor. Perhaps the most important thing for you right now is to figure out how your timeline for graduation, or how to finish a project that's being challenging. Perhaps it is how to get paper published. So identify what it is that you need from this person. Think about how these exchanges usually go. Maybe it depends on the context. It depends on whether this person is in the middle of grant writing. Maybe it depends on what mood you get them, or a number of things. But think about in the past what types of experiences you've had when you've tried to have these conversations, and then with your peer mentor, brainstorm how you might best approach your mentor or advisor. Do we have any questions about this? I can't see everybody, so if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and talk. All right, I see some thumbs up. Carolina, do you have the breakout rooms ready?
I do. I have, we don't have Kiki Spalding, so I am going to have Valeria and Sonia work together.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah, because Sonia's peer mentor is also missing. Okay, great. So the breakout rooms are going to open. You guys are going to have 20 minutes, so about 10 minutes each. Oh, Josh just entered the waiting room. Did you have Josh?
He was.
Oh, okay. Maybe he just dropped and came back in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
right,
guys.
so
I wanted to switch to my computer so I can use the video.
No problem,
Okay.
Joshua. You're good. So Carolina, go ahead and open the breakout rooms. I'm going to give you some alerts, particularly 10 minutes when you should be switching your focus of your conversation. And then we'll be back at 7:40 Eastern time. See you soon.
This is still not working. Okay. I'm trying.
Okay, sorry. No, Josh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, my video is still not working for some reason, but I'm gonna rock with it, okay?
Okay, I assigned you now because it was the previous one, so you should have gotten the invitation now. Okay.
Siempre tengo este problema de que no sé, mi computadora, mi Zoom, no sé cómo compartir de Google Slides.
Paraste recording. You need to stop the
Sí,
recording.
I did. I paused it. I think.
It says recording.
¿Quieres que le haga pausa?
Okay, welcome back. How did that go? Was that fun? Yay. Okay. It did go by quickly. So like I said, hopefully you guys can also, you know, maybe exchange contact info, exchange cell phones if you feel comfortable, and get a chance to talk a little bit more. But we wanted to take some time to discuss, and guess what? I figured out how to share my slides. It only took me like 5 years to figure this out. Okay, so yeah, anybody wanna share with the group, maybe perhaps what challenge they're trying to focus on and getting help from their research advisor at the moment?
I guess I can
Yeah.
go. I
Thank
think,
you. Yeah.
oh yeah, one of my biggest thing is not necessarily interactions with my PI necessarily, but with other lab members. So trying to communicate with my PI some of the needs I need him to do with the other lab members rather than me doing it for him. So I think one of the things that Edwin was telling me about is like, obviously I've set some boundaries with my PI, but I need to now like actually like follow through and be like, hey, I'm not gonna do that anymore for you. Like you have to do that. Because obviously I will be graduating soon. So it shouldn't be my responsibility to do that. And as much as I understand and want to keep helping the lab, it's just something that I need to start letting go because I have to concentrate on my things.
Great. And did the context or the, you know, the strategy for how to bring it up, did you guys talk about that?
Yeah, I I think that one was a little bit hard, and I kind of did that today in lab meeting. So it was kind of nice to like see the reassurance that what I did today was good. I did have a conversation with my PI one-on-one, and then I brought it up in lab meetings. So it was also kind of the we need to work together. I can't do this kind of thing.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes, you know, it just has to come out. There is no right moment, but the right now moment. Yeah. I think what you want to do is make sure that you do it in a moment that you feel you have some control, rather than having it, you know, explode, you know, because you're fed up and you don't want to, you know, deal with it anymore. But yeah, that's wonderful. Anyone else want to share? Maybe some good advice they got, or some advice or some actions that they're going to do as a result of your peer mentor's advice?
I mean, I can talk. So I was telling Adriana that I ha I have like a recurrent problem with my PI that he won't read my stuff, and I think that's a universal problem. Because right now I have a manuscript that's about like it's written, it's about to be like 3 months old in a couple of days and still haven't been written. And we're just finishing up a second one, so it's like, okay, so it's gonna be one is hasn't even been written, and the second one is gonna be online, and I'm like at my wit's end to like, how can I make my PI read my stuff? And Adriana actually gave me a couple of cool tricks. I've tried some of them. I've written down a couple of them to see how I can make this work, but yeah.
Do you want to share any good tips that you received?
So she told me that like to do some of the work ahead of time, like some of the like look for the journal, aims and scopes, fit the manuscript according to the journal, like even already have the list of reviewers you have to submit, like have some of the work the PI should do, you do it ahead of time. And that's a really good strategy. But yeah, something that I've done, I don't think this is probably the best approach, but I was telling Adriana, I'm on strike now. I'm not doing my weekly check-ins just so you don't have time to read my manuscript. So please take my check-ins. We don't have to talk this week or the next week, but please take these hours to then read my paper. So I'm on strike, having no check-ins until he reads the papers.
Does he know that you're on strike?
Yeah,
Until
I
he
told
reads
him,
it?
I was very verbal. I won't meet again until you read my paper. So keep taking these hours on hours. He's not doing it, but I'm on strike.
Do we have any other advice for Edwin? This is a very common thing. I mean, I think, you know, PIs are very frequently overwhelmed with work. So, but sometimes you need to really assert the sense of urgency. It is.
I'm just wondering, Edward, if you have like other committee members that you could sort of reach out to and like have them review your paper and be like, hey, I sent it to my committee members. This is what they said. You know, that way to like expedite the process a little bit faster.
So Adriana actually suggested that. And on this paper, sadly, no, but one of my committee members is very aware of this. And like he constantly asks me, what about the paper? Have you submitted it? Have you submitted it? So maybe it might be a good time could you talk with my PI? On the upcoming one, some of my committee members are actually on that paper, so that might also help. Like another PI already read it, so just proofread it then, or I don't know.
But even like on my tag meetings, I have like updates or like goals. You can even put like a published paper that has already been written, waiting for like PI to review it or something like that. So they know like that was already completed by you. You're just waiting, but the things are getting done, you know? So that kind of pushes your PI a little bit, if that makes any sense.
I one time, and I don't know if this will be helpful, I met with my PI, like, and we read the paper together. Like we sat down and used the meeting to go, like we put it up on a projector and went line by line together. It's not as fast as them proofreading by themselves, but it's like there's a block of time that's been dedicated for editing. So like maybe just having a meeting outside of your normal meeting time so that it make sure that it's directly for proofreading, and then you say like the whole purpose of that meeting is joint proofreading. And then once they get going, usually they go and finish it.
I thought that, instead of giving him free time by being on strike with your during meetings, I think Sabrina's advice, maybe you could try it out and see if it works. At least get through, at least get through the figures. Maybe, the part that you feel like you need the most feedback on, have a joint reading session. Because I fear that it sounds from what you shared that the strike is not actually working.
It's not. I don't think so. But thank you. I'll try that.
Yeah. You can always negotiate. Obviously, you don't want to, be too harsh with this or you don't want to burn bridges either. But if you're being asked to review papers from other people or, help trainees with an experiment, it might not be a bad idea to remind them that, you have some priorities as well that you need to attend to. You're on the schedule to graduate, you've been already have, postdoc offers, meeting with, so there's a deadline. So anyone else want to share another challenge, maybe for the group to brainstorm and help you think of strategies? How many of you had research challenges that you were, working through? Just, use the raise your hand or use the hand button. A few of you. How many of you had like graduation requirement, like outside of just like experiments that you need to like writing a thesis or meeting graduation requirements? How many of you had that? Okay. And how many of you want to discuss like career options or career advice with your mentor? Okay. Interesting. I just see one, I think I saw one or two people for the last one. Are there any reasons why you guys are not approaching your mentors, your research advisors with those discussions? Yeah, Christina.
I think I just misunderstood the framing of it. Because I have had those conversations already with my PI, so I thought you were asking who wants to but hasn't yet.
Okay, yeah. Got it. Well, who wants to talk about career, or for whom is that like a challenge that they want to address in the next year?
I mean, that's definitely a goal. But I'm finding that, especially like just from the faculty that I was able to meet at Yale, they were like provided more help with that than the PI that has known me for years. And so it was like, oh, shoot. Like, I think I was talking to Sabrina about this, like, even though Fatu and Kerman like mentioned this, like, I don't know how to grow my mentorship network. Like, that's my struggle. Like, I don't have the energy or hope for my PI, but like, how do I bring other people in?
Great, yeah. Miho and Tina, do you guys want to share something, or you're just raising the hands to agree that that's something that you want to address?
I could share. I think the struggle for me is that I've been someone who's tend to stay in positions for a very long time. And I have no idea what it means to transition to doing something new. And I'm never quite sure what direction I want to move in. And I think I don't even know how to open up the conversation about where I want to be, how I want to be working. So it kind of just keeps me from not dealing with it.
Yeah, I can identify with that. It can be overwhelming, right? Where do I even get started? Yeah. Miho, did you want to share something?
Yeah, mine was similar to that, in that I think I had there was a like industry conference last week, and like there's so many options that I don't like. I don't know where to go at this point, so I don't want to talk about it until I feel like I know what kind of general direction I want to go into, because I do know that my advisor wants me to go into academia, but that is the only really path she knows. So or knows really well, I guess. So I want to know what I want to do more concretely before I talk to her about things. So that's kind of where I'm at too. So
yeah, totally fair. Yeah, definitely. I think for many of you, if it, either you're working with someone who is not, maybe they have a set of skills, but career advising is not one of them. Or maybe their networks are, like Miho said, just very limited to academia and to the setting that they're working in. And so in those situations, it's good to start expanding your networks. And I would say for Tina, many times the first step is just to talk to people about what they're doing and get a sense of what is out there and see how that resonates to you. So this was a great segue, because our next exercise, and sorry, I just wanted to point out, we have a few challenges. So we have a few special prizes. And so just as an added incentive for you guys to take action, we'll have these incentives here. So if you take the plunge to discuss the challenge that you want to discuss with your current research advisor, maybe send an email, send us a screenshot. You feel free to block whatever you want to block. And the first 2 people to do that will get a little something from us. But yes, in terms of going and seeking additional people to become part of your advice and mentoring network, I know that this is also something that you guys talked about with Fatu and Kerman. We have here the mentor mapping tool that you guys should have done during the workshop. So particularly for the goal of finding people who have skills or knowledge or insights about careers that you're missing currently, think about what type of advice or support do you currently need? What is actually most important to you right now out of all those different needs that you might have? And brainstorm with your peer mentor places where you could find mentors and how to approach them. So that's going to be the topic of our next breakout session. So Carolina's going to open up the breakout rooms again. And you guys are, again, going to have 20 minutes, 10 minutes for one person, 10 minutes for the next. And we'll come back here and discuss. Any questions? All right, see you soon.
Kiki ahorita Kiki entró, no sé si te diste cuenta. Entonces la puse con Valerie y con Sonia.
All right, how was that? Good. All right, we'll go through it again. Does anybody want to share a little bit about what you were talking about or what advice you got about how to expand your mentoring relationships? What particular challenge you're dealing with?
Hey, so I can go. So actually the conversation let me know that I had a problem that I was kind of scapegoating was not a problem. And so that was interesting. And then we kind of talked through because some of the advice that was given. I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't really mind. I had a really big meeting with my boss yesterday that felt like we got my papers together. We were all on the same page. And I was feeling like I was getting the attention I needed since I had a conversation with her so recently. And yeah, I kind of satisfied myself with that, but I still have not had that conversation with her about like needing maybe some more attention or in certain areas or more structure as far as when we can meet regularly, because we have meetings set up, but because she's so busy, most of them get canceled because something's happening. So it was cool that I recognized the problem, and then I think we had a couple of different options because of Edwin's situation. And so I was able to talk about, kind of bounce some of those ideas back and forth. And then I think I ended up settling with, because I wrote down some advice. I think Sabrina said it about like using that time, because I really like the going on strike idea, because I do a lot around the lab. And so if I go on strike, somebody's going to notice and give me what I want. But I like the idea of putting my information on the screen, because like somebody mentioned, once the professor gets focused on what you have in front of her, like she definitely has the time for you. It's not that she's ignoring you. She just needs to sit down and focus on your activity. So maybe sitting there with her, it might be slower to get it done, but it's better than waiting. So that was something we discussed. And when we went down the list, we were both pretty well insulated with mentors. But I also realized, added to that point, because I saw how many times my mentors, my PI's name was on that list. And even though I have other people, I still have her for maybe too much. So that was one thing I noticed from the activity, and that's about it. Oh, that's okay.
Thanks for sharing, Joshua.
No
yeah,
problem.
I think that's very common, particularly when you're in the early stages of your career. When you're a grad student, to be honest, I think the system kind of perpetuates this idea that, you're in an apprenticeship under this expert person. And so, you see them as these, the sole purveyor of knowledge. But in reality, you're at a stage, you guys are all at a stage when you should be thinking of diversifying, the people that are around you. And like you said, Joshua, you probably do have people around you that can step into that advice role. So it's a matter of like getting, looking outside of that bubble, maybe getting, reinforcing advice or ideas from others, but starting to break down that, that notion that that's the only person that should be providing you feedback. I'm glad you guys had that conversation. Kiki, you had your hand raised. You wanted to share.
Oh yeah, so I guess it's a good segue to what Josh was saying, because opposite to you, when we did the activity in New Haven, my like what should have been the mentor check marks for my PI were not really there. And so I was reflecting on like, why is that, while we were at Yale, and kind of figuring out like, how can I reframe my relationship with him. I think I have a solid base of previous mentors and mentors outside of academia. And I was bringing this up to my group that, sometimes it is good to have outside perspective, and just having like somebody who's willing to listen to you, but maybe not necessarily in our field, but who's also, at that PhD level. Because one of my mentors is a nurse practitioner. She's retired, and I used to work with her. And so she's like heard me peripherally, through my master's journey and, PhD. And so she's someone I fully trust and I can talk to about these things. And also she's someone who's willing to help me. So if she doesn't know an answer, doesn't know quite how to guide me, she's willing to tap into her network to see like, oh, I know someone who knows that. Can I share that with you? And then, it is hard to reach out to mentors, I think, cold, but I think just through practice of just getting used to like, if you need to get what you want, you have to just ask the question. The worst thing they're going to say is no. But yeah, kind of reflecting like after coming back, and today was my first one-on-one. No, sorry. I had a one-on-one with my boss last week. And so it was nice because he was like just catching up on, how the program went. And today I feel like I kind of initiated a slightly different practice of how I approach our meetings. Just like, at least from my own personal mental headspace, there's a lot of little things that I'm trying to incorporate just in general when I start to meet with him. But I think having a different mindset is like really helping me just at least getting going, because I feel like I had this like sort of negative like feeling toward him. I used to actually have physical reactions the day before a one-on-one meeting because of how some meetings didn't go well like months ago, like last year. And so even till most recently, like I would just be like, oh my God, meetings tomorrow. I can tell in my body, and just like really, really tense. So I think, yeah, like that activity, really like trying to see why is it that I don't feel like he's my mentor? How can I change my relationship with him so that he can become a mentor, is kind of where I, am dealing with that right now. So.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kiki. And I'm sorry that it seems like it's not been an easy advising relationship. Yeah, that is kind of the other side of the coin. I think definitely if you're doing research under the advice of someone, there's things that you need from that person in order for you to make sense of your, experimental approaches, data. So I think doing the exercise that we were doing for people outside with your current advisor might be a good way of kind of at least anchoring on the things that person that you need from that person at this moment, that person should be giving them, and focusing your meetings and requests from that person on those things. They don't, research advisors don't need to be the person that, you bond with and, you share everything with. But they should be that person that, gives you the guidance that you need to complete your research training. Anyone else want to share one final thought? So I have another challenge for you. So again, if you implement some of the advice you got and reach out to someone that you want to build a connection with, there's a little prize for you if you let us know. And in fact, I wanted to share this email that I got from Francesca Mendez, who is one of our YCA alumna that participated. You might not have gotten a chance to meet her because she came for a academia panel for the outgoing cohort, but you might have seen her around. She's currently a professor at Mount Sinai. Her training is in environmental health and public health, and the interface with child development. But she basically, said that one of the things she heard is that many of us have a fear of cold emailing for many reasons. Some of us feel like we're putting people, we're putting them on, we're asking something from them that maybe they don't want to give, or we're using them. But here you have her words about why she never responds this way when she gets these requests. And also her thought process when she was starting out and starting to expand her networks and email people for professional for informational interviews. And so she had this wonderful idea that I think it's a great one, that maybe one way to kind of break the ice is to use the YCA network for this. So these are all people that have gone through the YCA program. They understand, the professional development stage you're at, the challenges that you're facing. They've been there. They've also been in your shoes. So she suggested that could be a way for, if you want to get it started on emailing people that you don't know, that you start out with the YCA network. And so I think you received this link already. But I'm going to put it here. It's a QR code for the LinkedIn network. Not all of our YCA fellows are there, but a big majority are there. And so you can look through them and maybe find people that are interested in the types of careers you're interested, or maybe have a similar background or experiences than you, or they have had opportunities that you want to follow. So just putting it out there as another resource for you guys. And yeah, over the next month, we had limited time here. I think it would be great if you guys could just send an email to your peer mentor, letting them know how you appreciated their advice. And if you feel comfortable, maybe setting up another, more dedicated meetup so that you can get to know each other better, maybe share your goals, both in terms of research, professionally, wellness. So just a suggestion. We are going to meet next on August 20th. And what we're going to be discussing is how the process of reflecting on whether a postdoc is the right next step for you. And we have put together a video with these amazing experts from UCSF Office of Professional Development that really go through the steps and, have some exercise for you to do to really go through this reflection. If you haven't done it, I think this is a great opportunity for you to go through this exercise. If you've already done it, I think it's still a good idea for you to go through it and think about what type of postdoc you might be interested in, or what other considerations you might want to take into play when you're thinking about what type of postdoc to do. So it's a set of videos you do at your own time. We recommend that you set aside 1 to 2 hours each week to look through their videos are short, but then there's associated exercises. I just don't want you to leave it all till the end and then have to do a bunch of, be watching video in fast speed at the very end. So my recommendation is setting aside 1 to 2 hours a week. We'll come together and we'll have a peer discussion on August 20th. And one final reminder before we leave, Carolina wanted to give you is that please remember to send her your receipts if you haven't done it yet. Carolina, anything else you want to share with them?
No, just transport, receipts. The food is going to be done in a per diem basis, so I don't need those receipts. If you if you took an Uber or a Lyft from the airport and back, just send those to me so that you can get refunded.
Yes, and tell Carolina if you took a ride with someone else, their name, so that she can have that on her records. So that's all the time we have for today. Oh, go ahead, Carolina.
Sorry, and if you haven't, and in that email, include whether you attended the events in the evening, the Well and Griffins. So
yeah, she needs that information in order to calculate the per diem that we're going to be providing you. So if you attended, let her know. If you didn't attend, let her know. All right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you all in August. If you need anything, feel free to email or text us on WhatsApp.
Oh, can I have a quick question though?
Yeah.
If anyone has noticed, I have a cat here. And he just joined our house and he doesn't have a name. So I'm looking for cat names if anyone wants to throw a hat in. I prefer it to be food related. His name used to be Baleada, but then we found out he's a he. So that doesn't really fit anymore. So if anyone wants, I'm open to
Chivo.
Chivo.
I love it. Chivo. Chivo or Chivo like food in Italian, or Chivo like goat in Spanish?
Oh, I love
like
the
food in
idea.
Italian.
Kimberly, I love the idea. Cadillac.
Maybe. Okay. Thank you guys. I will bring these to my wife and we'll decide on. Hopefully have a name by next time.
How about pollo? I like animals that are named as another animal.
Pollo is great, but I'd call him repollo just so I could call him chicken. So okay.
All right. Well, the WhatsApp's open, so feel free to send your suggestions to Renee.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.